All right, thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting for Monday, October 7th, 2024. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Lizickas.
Here.
Trustee Cameron.
Here.
Trustee Vijay. Here. Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Raby.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
7 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the Village Board meeting for September 16, 2024?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract 2024-25 fiscal year for voucher numbers 65247 to 65318 for a total of $214,743.37?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. This is our first speakers and communications. There'll be another one at the end of the meeting. If you have something you'd like to talk on, please raise your hand. When acknowledged, come on up, give us your name and address, and we'd like it if you could keep it under 2 minutes, please.
Not the public
Yes?
hearing items.
What's that?
And not the public hearing items.
We actually record the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're
so
sitting right
if
here.
you wouldn't mind, thank you.
My name is Christine Parazzini, and my address is 439 Old Center Road. I'm the first house right outside the village, but I represent the East Aurora Garden Club tonight, and I hope you've had a moment or two to look over the document that I dropped off last week. The Garden Club is here to ask you to begin the process of addressing serious health and economic concerns due to the overabundance of ever-growing deer population in both the village and the town. We feel that it's sort of reached a tipping point where it's become absolutely necessary to take action on this very important matter. Our membership has implemented many varying steps to counteract the problems with the abundance of deer, from purchasing Milorganite liquid fence, real fences, mesh nettings, fabric softeners, soap, sonic devices, and many other. But nothing seems to be working because the deer seem to have adjusted and changed their tactics. Daily walks in the village that all of us have done, we've noticed that every resident has incurred some type of damage, and we no longer see one or two, we see herds. And I'm sure all of you are very familiar with this. So we're deeply concerned, not only from a garden club point of view, but from other aspects that you see noted on the other side of the list. So the garden walk this summer also highlighted our ongoing concerns and brought this dilemma to the forefront of efforts to maintain the beauty of our lovely village. So the discussions at the garden walk no longer centered around the beauty and types of planting. The first question always was, how did you prevent the deer from eating your plants? We actually encountered a deer joining us in the walk in front of Robbie Goller's house. He was going to the backyard too with us. So they're not afraid, and I'm sure all of you have seen this. So as a community organization, we're concerned about the large increase in the deer population that affects our fellow residents. If you go to the back where we have the impact, and I just have a brief review of our points, and the first one obviously is the large concentrations of deer create an increase in the tick-borne illnesses and the Lyme disease. And we have a friend here who is on Sycamore, and she has Lyme disease, her son and son-in-law have it. A garden club member noted that friends came to our 4th of July celebration. The children had 25 ticks that they had to remove from them. Secondly, deer and vehicle accidents. I'm sure there's not one person in the room who hasn't had a car run-in with a deer or who knows someone who's had a deer collision. And the costs incurred are listed in the DEC report that is noted in the middle of your comments, and massive amounts, 70,000 collisions a year, averaging $4,000 per collision, and 250 people killed. That was a couple of years ago. So I'm sure there's more. With regard to property owners, we have a resident also on Oakwood who spent $500 the night before the garden walk to replace what she had removed by the deer. And a town resident who's 2 doors down from me spent $3,000 to replace all of her decimated landscaping. Crop damage goes to $59 million, and the point about reducing diversity in the forest and enabling invasive species is all listed in the DEC, which is online. And lastly, residents feeding the deer, I'm not sure they know the law, and I checked it and found it on the state DEC comments, which listed no deer or moose feeding. I hope we don't have to go to moose level. So now, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We know that other towns are working on the same problem. I placed a call to Amherst and waiting for the response. And then also, I talked to a friend in Southold, on Long Island, and they instituted a plan also. But again, as you may know, we at the Garden Club would like to propose that to you. It's listed on the back. We would like to address the concerns, both health and economic. We want to develop a plan to reduce the overabundance of deer in our village and town. We're going to the town on the 15th to present this, and we would like procedures implemented to relieve the village and town residents of the problems related to these interlopers that we have. So, we want to let you know that the Garden Club of East Aurora is willing to assist in many ways, or any way we can help. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned a friend of yours in Long Island, and they instituted a plan. What was the plan?
The plan for the town of Southold was, because of course, the DEC measures the amount of deer related to the amount of people. They had bow hunting, but that was just the town. And as a result of the bow hunting, they accumulated 80,000 pounds of venison, which they distributed through the state plan, which I didn't even know existed. And all of you know, they distributed venison throughout the state.
Yeah,
So they typically didn't allow bow hunting, and then they allowed it?
I'm not sure, I think they may have expanded it.
Duration or geography, proximity?
Well, I think it was basically due to the geography of the town, because it's a rural town in Long Island, that they allowed it at that time. And I
Okay.
don't know how many times they repeated it.
Right.
The one story that we read, listed in the DEC report, indicates that South had some success with that. And obviously, we won't be able to do the same things in our village as we might be able to do in our town. So
Correct.
what we feel is you just need to make the effort to begin a process to.
Is there a suggestion from the Garden Club that you have for us to move forward with?
Well, according to what I've read, the only suggestion we can make is that what I have seen on their website is that we have to determine as village residents and town residents that the problem exists, then we can survey the residents, and then we begin, and the DEC has a book, a handbook for deer, the process to reduce deer in
Okay.
village and town.
All right. Yeah, no disagreement that I spent money on my garden as well, and
Exactly.
I stopped.
Yeah, you know what happens. Our beautiful village and town decimated.
Well, the environmental damage they did as well in
Exactly.
Knox Park, I mean, Trillium, it's a wildflower, is going extinct because of deer overgrazing. There's no understory in the forest at Knox. It's a very unhealthy environment. It's mostly due to the fact that hunting was not allowed. They ceased hunting at Knox Park, Majors Park, all the places we hunted when I was a kid, when my father hunted. All of these areas surrounding the village are no longer hunted, and so the population, they went to where life is easy,
Right.
which is the village. And we've addressed this before. We've actually looked into trying to come up with a plan. It's hard because you get a lot of pushback from people about bait and shoots and reducing the population by, harvesting them. It's not easy. And we've been told, I know I looked into contraceptives for deer. We've been told a couple of different things. They're not effective. Yeah, I would really like to see us actively do something to reduce the population because it's not natural. It's not good for the deer. It's not good for humans. And as we get into the rut now, and they've damaged 2 of my trees, the young buck has rubbed two new, newly planted trees, the bark right off of them last year. And the damage they do, and I'm just worried when we get into the rut, that you have a buck that goes after somebody or a child,
Exactly.
it could be a dangerous situation. So I'm on your side with reducing the number of deer, but the problem is the pushback. How do
And
we
how?
get the public on our
Well,
side?
there's pushback to certain methods.
To certain-
To Ernie's point, right? So
Right.
I think we all agree that, yes, the ticks and Lyme disease is a huge problem. The car accidents is a problem. The cost of landscaping is a problem. Yes. To Ernie and Steve's point, it's tough to figure out how to execute a plan, right? I mean, fencing isn't an option, relocation isn't an option. Those are some of the things they talk about, right? So it leaves you with immunocontraception, right? Trying to figure out how to neuter them, right? How to spay them in the
Right.
wild. And then there's controlled hunting, which we're thinking is probably not going to be popular with everybody, right? But maybe we need to kind of visit that with the public and see where everybody stands on it. And we have an expert bow hunter here in the crowd, luckily, yeah. and
Move over whenever you want me to.
Joe, you said, right, you donate the venison, right, like she talked about?
There's a Hunters for the Homeless, it's called. So they donate all the venison. I try and shoot as many as I possibly can all year long.
All year.
But I donate as much as I can and keep what I want.
Yeah.
What I need.
And who cleans the deer and gets it?
So you just drop it off. The place I go to is the Buck and Doe Shop, which is on Sheridan, Drive, and you just drop it off and you
That's it.
drive away.
They clean it, they donate the meat to the homeless, which,
Or to veterans,
Wow.
or.
so, right, so maybe that's what it takes to make this more palatable to people who are a little more sensitive to the concept,
And I
right?
had brought it up with the Knox or the state park manager one time, and he's right out, they said, nope. We have a hard enough time just cutting, in his word, cutting a dead tree down without people being upset. They were, and I don't know if that's changed since. I don't know who's the manager now out there, but
Right, and you look at the village, right, and if we figured out something to do in the village,
Well-
it might quickly not matter, right? In a year, they come in from Knox Park or from the town or from the next
Right.
community over,
Maybe.
so it almost, necessitates a bigger solution.
Well, we have the
If we
problem-
talk to the state and see, maybe go higher up than the local park
Right.
Yeah.
manager, maybe the state would be down with allowing a controlled hunting.
they do it
state
at
park.
Evangola State Park. They actually, my son participates in the one at Evangola State Park. You go in, you get a pass. They tell you where you can set up your tree stand, and then you have, that's where you hunt, and then you have to report whatever deer you've harvested, you need to report that. And it's reduced the number of deer and
Well, maybe the
Evangola State Park.
Maybe, obviously, there might be, if we could control the population within the town, it would limit the access to the village by the deer.
Yeah.
We may,
So there's
Pushback.
the town of Irondequoit put in a whole part of their code where you can do controlled hunting with the DEC. I researched this 2 years ago, so don't quote me on all of this right now. But they put in a whole system with DEC to allow open hunting on property owners' property, but you have to get the property owner to agree, and then the state gives out specific licenses to those hunters who are allowed to go in there and get as many deer as they want. But this is something we need to do with the town, because that's where our
Right.
land is, and where we can do hunting. So I agree with you that if we take out deer in the town, we're going to have a less of a problem in
Yeah.
the village, because they will
maybe.
hopefully migrate away.
Well, we
But-
also have our property at the end of Girard, Buffalo Road, Bowen Road. There's also Majors Park, which is a town park.
Right, you can,
You have locations, Old Baldy. There are locations in Village Owens where we could actually, with the DEC's approval and
Right.
guidance, we could set something up to get the numbers down.
I forwarded Ellen an email that I had written a couple years
Great.
ago. It's pretty nice.
is that present?
And we could, We could add it to our village code too, about the feeding. I don't think there's anything in
No,
the
there
code.
isn't, I checked.
Right,
I was
about not
looking.
feeding deer, we could add that in.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, I remember one of the things came up with a consultant that we brought in a few years ago,
Right.
was teaching the public, right, what to plant, what not to plant. But I feel like
I feel like
we
we're
don't-
beyond
that's a,
that.
No,
that's
wait,
Yeah, we're way
all kinds
beyond
of
that.
stuff they're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's a tough.
Well, that was because we found
something that-
we got into a dead end where we weren't really getting anywhere
Thank you.
or gaining traction with any
Right.
kind of real solution like,
Right, as a garden club, we feel we're beyond that because
Sure.
we have put in everything that's labeled deer resistant.
Yep.
I have yuccas, they ate the yuccas. I mean, normally, they're eating things we've never seen them eat before, so they're learning new techniques, so, you know, we have to be
Yeah.
smarter.
never thought I'd have to build Fort Knox so I can grow
Yeah, it
beans
doesn't-
and
they don't.
tomatoes. And, you know, when I was, I mean, even when I first got married, I never fenced my garden. And if you saw a deer in the backyard, take a picture, send it to the advertiser because
Right.
that was a big deal, you know, like, oh, there's a deer in the village. You know,
Now they're,
But it's just the fact that I think hunting, the number of hunters has declined.
Absolutely.
Hunting areas in the area around have been developed and no longer allowed to hunt. Or Knox Park, you know, all of these public areas that at one time were hunted. But, yeah, and people don't
Right.
get permission, people don't want it in their backyard. Even out in the country where we have property in Wales, a lot of neighbors, they don't allow for hunting.
no, we understand that.
So it's.
We do,
it's-
but-
It's a big issue.
But that's where if the state gives out a specific license to someone they know is a trusted hunter, you might get more property owners to say, yeah, if you're properly licensed to do this, I'll allow you on my property.
Not just some random guy with a gun.
Well, but it's also people who absolutely don't want any kind of anything killed.
Sure.
They just flat out, they have a philosophy.
Yeah.
That's their own business, but it doesn't help the problem.
Yeah, doesn't
And
it?
it's not everybody, right?
It's not everybody.
Yeah.
Right,
All right, so you're going to talk to the town
yep.
Right.
The 15th.
and pitch
The
this as
town
well.
already has the document I gave you. We're going to make the same presentation at the town
Mm-hmm.
and see what maybe a joint committee might be, make sense.
Leave you down.
Work on this.
Let's make a concerted effort, because I had two in my backyard
Appreciate
tonight.
that.
When I went back to get a tomato, and they're looking at me,
Right.
you know, it's-
And Chris,
They
if you could
don't
just
leave.
write up something for our code that
That'd be
other
good.
municipalities use as far as not feeding.
Right.
that kind of thing.
Interestingly enough, I just did this 2 weeks ago in another municipality.
Perfect.
Good.
Good. And then Shane, do you want to reach out to the DEC and find out what our options are as far as allowing anyone in particular to hunt on some of the village-owned land or some of the bigger properties if property owners agree to it?
Shane, I've also got a booklet from DEC that deals with exactly this issue that's happening in another large town, having a problem.
But my computer.
I'll get it to you.
Does anybody see a value in looking into the immunocontraception angle?
Of course.
I mean, there's no harm in
There's
looking
no-
again.
That seems costly to me.
I guess we should know for sure.
It does, but yeah, it
Might be
doesn't
a-
take much
might
to
be a
look into
grant
it, is
for
the
it.
thing.
Yeah.
well, we were told by somebody a couple of years ago when we
Yeah.
looked at, they said it was ineffective or something. It
Right.
was like some kind of
Right.
it didn't work.
Yeah.
That's what we were basically told.
I don't think it's going to be the avenue that works, but I think it's going to take, 10 minutes to look it up.
All right, well, why don't we all just look around on the internet in the next 2 weeks and see
Google
what we
it.
can find out on that?
Yeah.
There's a link on the back of the.
Well, we could also ask the DEC,
That's where-
Shane, maybe when you call a DEC, maybe ask about, has this been done before, the contraceptive thing? I just remember somebody telling us that it wasn't something
They
that
did, for
scientists
sure.
said it didn't work, or for some reason.
Yeah, I think that, very low.
You remember that?
Effective rate. I do remember that. I do, but I don't know, I mean, you don't know what's
So,
changed. and
no.
It's just, again, I don't think it's what's going to work, but I think we should look up every possible avenue for this,
Maybe it
'cause it's a
takes,
big, tough
maybe it
problem.
takes 3 or 4 different things, right?
Sure.
To actually affect the numbers.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's great to work with the village and the town on it, but I wonder if we should expand that a little and try to talk to some of the surrounding towns
Yes,
as well and sort of
I would.
see if we can get a concerted effort.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Garden Club, for everything you do,
Thank you.
not just this. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Sam Warner. I live on Brookley, and we have lots of deer. No matter what I plant, they love it. even if it's deer resistant. We have more deer poop in our yard. I don't know how a family with children could let their kids out. We're always cleaning that up. I have Lyme's disease. I got it like 4 years ago. I went through about 6 weeks of, I've got permanent short-term memory loss from it. And if you had kids that could possibly have this, I think everybody would think twice. I know Ernie. There's, the other year, there was a buck in the backyard, and I'm on my deck and I'm hollering. That thing just snorted at me and pawed. I thought he was going to fly on the deck after me. And there was a neighbor girl out, so I hollered to her to get on her deck because I thought he was going to charge her. So it's broad daylight, there's no 24/7 they're out. I really feel as if you could check other areas, which you said. I know Warsaw actually has, I believe, they can shoot in their village. I'm not saying shoot, it may be a bow, but I know they can do some hunting in their village, and that's in Warsaw. But I really feel as if something needs to be done before we are known as the tick capital, and our real estate will be affected. You know, there's a lot of ways to look at this. And we have several other members in our club that have Lyme's disease, which is permanent. It's not over within a month. It's forever with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tina.
Carolyn got it too.
Speakers and communications, anyone else?
Yeah.
Sir?
Where I take my deer through the process,
Get it, take the
they
medicine.
sometimes ask, where is this deer coming from? And when it's Elma, Marilla, East Aurora, they take different precautions because of the amount of ticks that fall off the deer.
Wow.
It's number one in Western New York is right here. At least that's what the guy said. And he laid the deer there when it was, you know, and you should have seen the ticks jumping off the thing.
Ugh.
And when they, like, say they want to mount this,
Yeah, that's where I was.
they have to have it outside and fumigate that with something before they can even take it to the shop to compare this.
The guy was like, oh, that's a deer tick, oh, that's a, and he was rattling off the 20 different ticks that jumped off.
Oh, my wife got Lyme disease, same thing.
Does she?
Yeah, she got Lyme disease. She had to go through the whole medical, she had to stay out of the sun. Couldn't go out garden because she had to stay out of the sun. She got it. She caught a tick. And it's terrible.
Okay,
But-
we'll connect with the town after you guys have presented to them to see how we can work together with them.
Thank you very much. I'm always ready to talk to you guys, right?
Rachel Francis on Sycamore, and I'm the one she referred to. I have Lyme disease. Both of my neighbors have Lyme disease, and I know it's because we live on Hamlin Park. Here's what I want you to know is that it is everywhere. There was a movie a couple years ago at the Aurora Theater about the people who are fighting Lyme disease. It was packed. And I would love to see somebody conduct a survey and see what is the situation with Lyme disease in town. And I would say it's worse than whatever result you get, because a lot of people don't know they have Lyme disease because it's weird symptoms. Doctors are not identifying it as quickly as they should. And I think a lot more people have Lyme disease than know they do. So it is a genuine health scare. And I'm appalled to hear what he says about the deer processing plant. So please do take it seriously. I've talked about it at the Hamlin Park Committee. Ernie and Steve have heard my passion about this. The deer have to be controlled. Somebody just told me at Knox Farm, and it was one of the managers. I don't know who it was you spoke with, Ernie, but
This is like 2 or 3 years.
was it a while ago? And they said
Years
that
ago.
they had a number for how many deer that acreage can support, and it was multiple times
way
more
beyond.
than that. So I think Knox Farm has a concern, and maybe their attitude would be changed about pursuing the deer population in Knox Farm.
I think they're afraid of a public relations nightmare, because all of a sudden, oh, they're killing the deer. People get,
Yeah.
very sensitive to the killing, but they don't realize the environmental damage
Yeah.
and overpopulation of deer.
And now the health
There's no
damage.
understory. That forest is extremely unhealthy. The native plants that have been destroyed by this overpopulation of deer, not just in Knox Park, but all over the state, it's become an issue. And a lot of it is because, like I said earlier, there's a decline in hunters, people hunting. People want to do it anymore. There's all kinds of factors, but it's very bad for the ecosystem to have that population, especially in a beautiful place like Knox.
Right. I just also had a conversation today with someone from the Western New York Land Conservancy, and he was naming different places that have controlled hunting on their properties. I think I know what I'm saying. So there are these controlled hunting situations in land around us, and maybe the Western New York Land Conservancy would be willing to work with you. I say East Aurora should be the cutting-edge community on this. We were with Walmart, right? So let's be the cutting-edge village about the community, about controlling this deer problem. I think people would come and sit in your meetings and say, tell us more.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember 15, 20 years ago, there wasn't ticks in Western New York. I probably went 30 years without ever seeing a tick.
They said
I lived, on the border of the woods. So now that ticks and Lyme disease are such a bigger issue, maybe kind of the mentality, the public mindset has shifted.
Exactly.
To where people are like, yeah, maybe a certain amount of controlled hunting is acceptable.
Well, it's also partly due to, a warmer climate. I was talking to a guy in Old Forge up in the Adirondacks, and I was telling him about the tick problem, because they have the same problem with the deer walking all over the town down Main Street. And he said, we don't have ticks because they still have cold enough winters that it disrupts the cycle. My son lives up on top of the hill in Colden, way up on Partridge Road. He doesn't have ticks because they still have a cold enough, the altitude, it still gets cold enough where they don't.
I've read that it's the first epidemic of climate change.
Yep.
Lyme disease.
Well, there's new kinds of ticks in this area now too, right? The Lone Star tick has come all the way up. It's in this area now. That's
It is.
also on deer, and that's the one, if it bites you, you can be allergic to red meat for life.
I have read that.
I know somebody who had that.
I think you're right, though, Pete. I think attitudes might have evolved because of this. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Anyone else? Hi, Ellen.
Ellen Muma from Spider House on Oakwood Avenue. Yeah, as president of the Garden Club, I just thought I should just say how very concerned we are. I'm so glad that you all are taking it very seriously. And it's a health problem. It's a tourist problem. We love to welcome all these other people into our yards and things for garden walks. And we may be inviting ticks to bite somebody who just, came for a garden walk. So it's good. And I'm glad to hear that you're willing to work with your esteemed town colleagues. And we will do some more research as well with neighboring communities so that we know more of what other places are doing, because I was the one who had to buy all new plants for my garden walk because they were so eaten. So yeah, it's worthwhile on many fronts. So thank you so much for all your time this evening.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, that closes our first speakers and communications. Again, you get another opportunity at the end of the meeting. Moving on to our first public hearing, can I get a motion to consider the amended special use permit for the bar at Main and Hamlin, applicants Andrew Miller and Joseph Morcell, 198 Main Street, to include hours of operation, TV and music on patio and enclosed patio during colder months at 7:30 PM. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is open. Does the applicant want to share any high-level description of what's going on?
I think the only thing I'd like to make sure is on record is that it's not for music on the patio. It's not like we're putting big subwoofers out there and we're making it a club on the patio. It's for ambient music, just lightly, and then just to allow, like, if there's a Bills game or something, to have the sound of the TVs be played on those speakers. But I didn't want it to seem like we're trying to blast music while we're open, so.
And you follow all the noise ordinances and everything
Correct,
else?
yes. So I just wanted to make sure that was.
Thank you, Andy. Good. All right. Anybody from the public want to speak on this?
Hi, excuse me. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Santos, 121 Hamlin Ave. I'm here on behalf of my husband Carlos and myself, just to say we love the addition of Main and Hamlin at the end of our street. We love going there with our 14-month-old and our dogs, and we are very much in support as residents of that area of this application. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Caitlin. Anyone else from the public want to speak on this issue? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:32 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing to consider projects for the Community Development Block Grant application at 7:32 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is now open. You or Shane?
I'll do it.
All right. Maureen's going to tell us what this is about.
Every year, we have the opportunity to apply for community development block grant funding through the consortium, because we're part of the consortium. We have to have a public hearing to go through any proposed plans to discuss, and then we put a resolution together and apply. Unfortunately, well, actually, it's fortunately, but we don't have any blighted areas in the village, so a lot of the things that community development funding can be used for can't be used in our community because we don't have any of the block groups that you'd use the funding for. Most of the projects that we could do have to do with ADA. We did look into something with an elevator, but Matt said we didn't really need one yet. So we don't have any projects this year. But the public hearing is open in case a resident has the idea of a project that they may want to bring forward to the village to discuss.
All right. Anybody from the public have a CDBG idea that they want to bring forward? Sandy?
I just found out that Warsaw is soul hunting
In the village.
in the village.
Interesting. Good to know. So it's possible. All right.
That's
Thank
not
you.
bad.
All right, CDBG grant, anybody? Anybody on the board have anything they want to throw out there? All right.
You know, the only one, I just was gonna, not that we're ready for it, but they have that property clearance one. There was one of the subgroups that you could, when we get to our piece of land at the end of Gerard, and whenever we get to it, there's some funding there for property clearance.
Yeah, so that's separate from this, but you can.
For
there's-
the community funds,
Yeah.
yeah. When we get to that point, I was like, yeah, I was trying to go through it and try to find something, think of something, and I just couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, I think my understanding is what you're talking about is something that's done separately, but this is, it's more smaller projects, local projects. Some places with blighted areas, they can get sidewalks and they can have their sewers done and all of that. We just don't have that. So,
Yes, sidewalk on Mill.
All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:35
On
PM?
Mill.
Yeah.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. That public hearing is closed. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to approve the amended special use permit for the bar at Main and Hamlin, applicants Andrew Miller and Joseph Morcell, 198 Main Street, to include hours of operation, TV and music on the patio, and enclose the patio during colder months?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second. Jeff, further discussion? I feel like they've been good responsible
Oh, they've been
business owners, and
fantastic
I don't
business
have any
owners.
qualms about it.
Fantastic owners, great place, wonderful addition to the village.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations. Can I get a motion to set a public hearing on November 4th, 2024 to consider a local law to amend the Village Code Section 220-12D, stormwater?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is set. Can I get a motion to grant permission to advertise for an RFP for engineering services?
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? Appreciate the engineering committee for meeting with the folks and getting an idea of what we're looking for. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for East Aurora Runners Holly Layer applicant to hold the Turkey EA Trot November 28th, 2024 at 9 a.m.?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? Pat, any issues with the application this year? I don't see any really major changes or anything. Any concerns you have?
No, Holly Layer always organizes a well-run race. It's Thanksgiving morning. It's very quiet. We don't really have traffic concerns, and she's always very willing to work with us on any changes or alterations that we deem necessary. We don't have any issue with it.
Thanks, Pat. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Till Death Tattoos, applicant Tara White, to hold a Feed Families of Western New York event on November 2nd, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Molly.
Sure.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the budget adjustments for the 2024-2025 fiscal year.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a resolution to declare a 1995 Ford dump truck surplus property for auction.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second by
Second.
Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to appoint Jenna Howe as a part-time public safety dispatcher to start on or after October 7, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. Congratulations to Jenna. I get a motion to approve an amended permit for keeping other than household pets for Caroline and Zach Taggart, 243 Casanova Street, chicken hens only.
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? Rich, any thoughts on this? It looks like they've already moved the pen, right, to the property and then realized they needed an approval, but they got approval from other neighbors, right?
Correct.
So, they're good. All right. Very good. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to refer a site plan application for 160 to 190 Main Street, applicant James Boglioli of Benderson Development, to the planning board on November 5th, 2024, to update the front awning to black, change the front entry doors, and provide a new rear exit door for a new restaurant tenant in the current vacant and demised space?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Kristen, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. It's referred. Moving on to new business, undesirable trees. Who's talking on undesirable trees?
I'll do it.
I can, okay.
Go ahead, Kristen, you're on the committee.
Sure, so this is something the tree board's been working on for a little while. The village already has a list of trees that we do for the annual spring planting. This list of undesirable trees are, we understand we can't force residents or developers to not plant these trees, but we want to be able to, the tree board would like for the village board to discourage the planting of these trees so that at least the DPW and the tree board and any of its future incarnations isn't planting any of these. They are, all of those are invasive or cause some sort of trouble. So there's, reasons for their inclusion on the list. That's basically that they're harmful to village life.
Very good. And it's a list you could expand as needed, right?
Yes.
Silver maple's on there, I assume.
The list that we've got is the Callery pear. That's because that didn't used to be invasive, but because of the warming climate, now that's become a problem. The Norway maple, tree of heaven, Russian olive, smooth buckthorn, and black locust. And all of those, I think, were on either the, I want to say it's on Waterkeepers, maybe? One of the local lists of trees that you shouldn't plant. They were all on that same list. Oh, this is New York Department of Transportation. I think that same list is a few different places.
What do we do? Just make this a thing?
Don't want it as a local law. You can just have it as a policy or declaration of the board, and we can put it on the website.
Yeah.
We have put it on the website, or actually, we're going to be putting it on the website if you approve it, as trees that are undesirable. I don't think, you can make a law that we are not going to put it there, but I don't know that you'd
Said
want
we
to
could
be
do a
that
policy.
harsh.
Yeah. So we would have to vote to approve a policy? Or we all just kind of agree to make it a policy?
You
Well-
can agree to place it on the website as the trees with the ability to amend it through either the tree board or the village board. That'd be the
Okay with that?
easiest.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Anybody really love the black locust? The calorie pear? All right.
A lot of people really like the Callery pear.
Really?
But, yeah.
Is that the tree that smells really bad when it blooms? Or is that the Bradford pear? There was one that has a really nasty smell.
I think
Is that the one?
they're related. I really am not the tree expertise person. I'm just their liaison.
It's the Bradford.
knowledge is dwarfed
it's
by
a pretty
theirs.
tree when it blooms, but
Yeah.
man, it stinks.
I think they're part of the same.
All right, sounds like everybody's on board. Let's make that a policy and put it on the website. All right?
Yeah.
Anything else on undesirable trees before we move on? All right, fire department parking lot extension, straight back versus behind building.
Okay, so a very long time ago, I think 2 fire chiefs ago, they asked to have the parking lot extended. We had put money aside to do it and spoke with the engineer, and it was gonna go behind the fire hall. In getting that far, they started looking at it and found that they could get more spaces and have less of an issue of lights in the neighbors behind the fire hall if they went back instead of going behind the fire hall.
So you know what we're
So-
saying? We're saying instead of it being butted up against the back of the building,
Mm-hmm.
which is a considerable drop, so it would require a lot of fill and navigating maybe a wall to keep it from the trees. And then you'd have to ensure all the firefighters pulled in and faced the building, because if they pulled in the other way, the headlights would shine right on those condos on Main Street. Instead of that, Matt talked about extending the lot itself, which would be an easier way to do it, and the cars then would still be facing north-south instead of east-west, which is where the condos are. Sorry,
What's
go
their,
ahead.
Well, it's-
what's their maximum spots now, and how many do they need? And what are they short?
I believe this adds 10 to 12 spots, and they're short, according to the fire department, they're short more than that, but this would be a huge help for them, because what happens is they have training, and then a call comes in and nobody can park. So that's why they're looking for additional parking.
So during a training is when they're,
Not of their people, so we
It's
hold
like a
trainings
county
at,
training that's happening there, and then we get a call, and they all show up, and there's no parking
and it's all
lot.
blocked up?
yeah.
Even when
And
they
it's
just,
Sunday morning, so you can't go across the street.
yeah,
They don't when they park there anyway.
Well, the other,
even when they have a large call and the whole department shows up, there's cars parked all over and jammed in the driveway, and
Yeah.
and the hard part about going behind the building is we can tell the membership to park facing inward of the building. But when you get guests that come,
They don't pick up.
they don't
Firefighters
care. They're not
don't
going to
pull
be.
in, they back into spots.
Well, but that's what
So-
that's the problem, so.
Following that rule would be very difficult.
Yes.
So Matt, at the end, assuming we extend the lot, right, and you add 5 spaces on either side,
Yep.
then what would you have, the dumpster in the middle? Because as they're driving back to those spaces, their headlights are shining at the condos, right?
Correct.
Can we put a little section of fence with the dumpster there just to make sure they're,
Well, the dumpster will stay in the spot that it's in,
yeah,
and then the spaces will just continue on behind it.
yeah. So do you know what I'm saying? Can we put something in the center lane there as they're driving back to those new spaces to make sure their headlights aren't shining right in somebody's bedroom window?
There's a garage straight back. If you look on Google, it's not directly
garage.
Is it
into a
aligned with one of the
condo.
garage buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's lots of vegetation. We're not
Lots of trees.
removing that much to put the extension in.
All right. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Everybody's good with that? Thanks, Matt.
All right, Jeff's going to start it.
No old business. Second, speakers and communications. Anybody have an issue they'd like to talk on? Raise your hand, please. Come on up. Name and address, if you would.
Jane Robbins, 505 Oakwood Avenue,
Hi.
neighbor. I didn't speak before when the Garden Club was making their comments because this is sort of funny, and it's also from quite a long time ago. But I used to live in Madison, Wisconsin. And about 30 years ago, their deer population was totally out of hand and was actually destroying the university's arboretum. So and part of this has to do with public relations. So of course, the arboretum said that they were going to open it up for controlled hunting. And the people of Madison, Wisconsin went berserk. You can't do that to Bambi, it's going to be horrible and all of that, long before ticks and other things. So the head of the Arboretum said, okay, we're going to close the Arboretum for about 6 weeks, and we're bringing in a pack of wolves. All of a sudden, the controlled hunting was a really good idea. So, Ernie, if you have to say we're going to get wolves, it worked in Madison, it might work in East Aurora.
You got a wolf guy?
Yeah, wolf guy.
No, I've seen them in Yellowstone. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
When my son worked there, he knew all the packs, the name, they all have different names. And
It's going to be.
You got a wolf guy.
beautiful creatures. Yeah, we could bring them here.
I get to see it now.
We had a young deer hit, and we didn't know it, but we found it the next day, maybe the day after. We called the village, because I didn't know what we're supposed to do. And they said to drag it out, and they would pick it up. So this was a Saturday, but we didn't want to put it out right away, so we did it for Monday morning. Monday morning came, some probably coyote dragged it away. It was totally gone. So we didn't step it up to a wolf and have to take care of it.
Yeah? Thanks, Sandy. Thank you, Jane. All right, anybody else for speakers and communications? Last call. And it's closed. Department head report, Pat?
Police Department, special events are starting to dwindle down, summer months being over. You filled one of my dispatch positions tonight, so hopefully that takes care of the need there. Got 2 new officers that are now car seat technician and installers, so we're hoping to do some community outreach there. Expanding on our new Lexipol policy, we're starting a wellness program, which that policy dictates. I've got a couple officers getting extensively trained on dealing with crisis and mental health. And 1 out of 2 new police cars is up and running. And that's about all I have tonight.
Thank you, Pat. Matt?
Last week, we put up the veteran banners, serviced the leaf machines to get ready for collection in another couple of weeks. And we'll be continuing with the fire hall parking lot extension shortly.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. Rich? Shane?
I sent out the pictures regarding the new scoreboard Little Loop would like to install. It is the same exact size of the current scoreboard. There's nothing different other than it's just an updated version of the same scoreboard with newer lights, a newer operating computer system, which the other one isn't supported anymore. It doesn't have any noise coming from it. Just the lights would go right where the current one is. And Little Loop would be covering all costs. I don't know if you wanted to wait until the next meeting to discuss that, but they're eager to get going on it as soon as they can. They also have a request in to see if there was any problem with putting a flagpole in near the scoreboard. Currently, they bring a little flag for the national anthem before the games, and they're a little embarrassed with that. They would just want to discuss the location that they would like to put in the flagpole near the scoreboard.
Like a full-size flagpole?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that, I think they would come and put the flag up at the beginning of the games and take it down at the end of the games. I don't think it would require any electricity for lighting or anything like that. And again, they would cover the costs of that.
Next agenda?
Yeah,
Next agenda. Okay. I did receive information from OCM regarding the order of how licenses are being distributed. Hop and Hemp was a November queue, in the November queue, meaning they applied last November. Highwire was a December queue, so they applied last December. They're still in the November queue, have no idea when they'll get out of the November queue or when they'll begin the December queue. So that was the best they could tell me on those two licenses, or Highwire's license. No idea when they'll get to that. I did send them another email requesting information on the proximity protection, but I haven't heard back from them yet. So, and that's it.
Very good. Maureen?
Our new accounting software, we are cranking with meetings. They pretty much have me booked out from the end of November through February with meetings and appointments and different things that my team has to accomplish in order to get the new software. So that's all forces there.
That's it?
I'm sure there's more, but I can't remember at the moment.
You had some NyQuil on your way home?
After I'm home.
All right. Grace?
Nothing.
Molly?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Jeffrey?
All good. Thanks.
Ernie?
Nothing.
Moving along. Kristen?
Nothing.
Don't screw this up for us, Steve.
No, nothing.
All right. I'll keep it quick and easy. Thanks, Matt, for those veterans banners. It's great to see them up. They still look like they're holding up. And I know we've gotten a number of calls and letters on it, so I'm glad we can celebrate our veterans all fall, up to and after Veterans Day. I was able to attend the Action Club annual banquet. That is just a fantastic organization, and big props to Rob Ruffner and Don Bach for all the time that they donate to help make that such an excellent club for the group and the public. I had chatted with Kristen and Jeff about getting together with Joe Trapp to start tossing around some ideas to see kind of what's possible as far as development on the land at Girard. So we're going to put together a first meeting just to kind of hear what Joe kind of thinks, because he kind of subspecializes in these kind of projects, and we'll see what he has. And then we will work closely with the board and obviously the public as we slowly vet it out and figure out what we're looking for. All right? And that's all I have. We're going to go into executive session to discuss contract negotiations. Can I get a motion to do so at 7:56 PM to consider approving the mayor to sign a contract with the East Aurora Fire Control Unit?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. We're going into executive session. Do we expect to vote on anything when we come out?
Yes.
We do expect to vote on something when we come out, so you can stick around outside and we'll open the doors and let you know when we're done, or you can leave and read about it in the paper. But if you don't come back, thank you all for coming.